Well, hello. So this year for the self-portrait, we're going to be taking a look at Roy Lichtenstein and his style of pop art. And
has a technique that uses things that are called Ben-Day dots. And Ben-Day dots are the dots that are created during the printing process. These are some examples out of comic books, and they use four colors. They use yellow, cyan, magenta, and black, and those four colors are used to make all of the colors that are in print. Roy Lichtenstein kind of took that idea and ran with it. Now, to do these self-portraits, I've started off each kid with their own picture of themselves. We took pictures a couple of weeks ago, and I ran them through Photoshop and turned them into grayscale so that they have just a minimum number of values to work with. And then what I've been having the children do is I'm using some of my older Sharpie markers, and we're going to just outline or do a contour line of the shapes that make up their face and head and neck and shoulders. And so I just have the children trace around the edges of things. I tell them that, we need to use as few lines as possible. We're not going to be drawing each individual hair or, all the little details that they see. We're going to kind of minimize them. And it's as simple as this. So then, I tell them to kind of give a rough idea of the shapes that make them up. Like this hair over here, we're not going to worry about that. And then I do the neck and shoulders so that we have a complete self-portrait. Because I want it to bleed through the paper, because we're trying to, abstract the self-portrait a little bit, kind of, I'm not trying to make it look like a real picture of them. We already have a picture there. This is going to be a painting. Okay, it looks like I got it about. And so what I have them do after they have outlined it or done a contour line of themselves, then we have them turn it over. And so you can see that has changed it a little bit. It's taken away a lot of the details that sometimes are just too much for the kids to get. Then the next step is that we're going to transfer it to a piece of construction paper. And to do that, we have some construction paper, and I use this painter's tape, and I take it and I tell the kids to stick it on their pants first. So like I said, stick it on my pants. Okay, that takes away a little bit more of the sticky so that we don't have to worry about the paper getting torn. I have them tape it down at the top like this, and here, leaving the corners showing because I do want to be able to flip this up and down to look underneath it. Okay. I've also talked about registration marks and other printers details. I kind of go into a little bit of printing with explanation of the printing with this project because, it is kind of based on the printing process. And then we're going to use carbon paper. If you haven't used carbon paper in your classroom, it's a great thing. Okay, so we'll put that underneath here, just like that. And then I'm going to trace it. I like to use either a pencil or a ballpoint pen to trace it with. You could use a little, stylus or something, but, it's just as easy to get a pencil or whatever and trace over it. I'm leaving extra space up here because I'm also going to be having the kids add some action words in it.
and so I want a little space around it, so that's why it's kind of off center. And I also, when I actually print the pictures up, I've been moving them either to the left or the right so that we do have this space to work with. And so then it's as simple as having them trace over the lines that they just drew. And if you use a different color, you can see, or if you use a pencil, you can see where you have drawn and where you haven't drawn. The thing that they have a hard time getting around is that this is not a final piece right here, that this is just an intermediary step towards getting our final artwork. And they are certainly welcome to make mistakes or changes on this as they like. So we just trace over all of these lines. And I tell them, if you want to peek, you certainly can. That's why we have this tape up here to keep it all in one space, and so you can peek and take a look and see how it's coming out. And these really do come out looking real close to what the kids look like. They get a lot of the proportion, the idea of proportion from this, and how the different features kind of go together on a human face by having them trace over their own picture. Okay, so I think I got everything. Let's take a peek. Yeah, okay, so it looks pretty good. Now, one of the things that I've been having them do is put some registration marks up here on the paper, just in case we want to get it back in the same spot. We're going to be painting over all this, so those little marks won't matter. They're just little tiny dots. And then I'm going to take this off. You could have them leave it on. It's totally up to you. But right now I'm going to take it off, and we're going to use a Sharpie marker, another Sharpie marker. This time I'm using black because Roy Lichtenstein liked to use black outlines on his drawings. So we're just going to real quick now, of course, I would encourage, oops, I forgot part of that eyebrow there, but we'll just fill it in right there. Okay, of course, I would encourage the kids to work a little bit slower and more deliberately than I'm doing here, but y'all get the idea. Of what's going on. And also, a lot of times the edges of the picture don't make it all the way to the edge of the paper, and I tell them, well, they just have to use their artistic license and continue those lines down until they get to the edge. We want it to be a finished picture. I don't want to see them draw a square on, this square that's here. I don't want to see that square on this paper. Well, sometimes I do anyway. Okay, so now I've got this drawn, and now we're going to put the action word. Now there's two ways you can do it, and you can offer it to them. They can either freehand it with a pencil onto this paper. You could go ahead and draw it onto here and realign these marks and put it down. Using the carbon paper, a lot of different ways. And I have up on the board, I have some examples that I pulled off the internet of different action words. I think for this one, I'm going to use wow. And I'm going to do it over here. I like doing it on this paper and then transferring it over because it makes it easier to have the words overlapped by the picture, and I like to tell them to do that because I want it to look big. Okay, so there's my wow. I'm going to make these letters dimensional. And see now, since I've tell them these letters don't have to be perfect right here because, well, this isn't the final image. Okay, so then I can put it back over here. I can line up these registration marks, and then using the carbon paper again. Now I'm just going to do the parts of it that show, not the parts that are behind the picture. And yeah, I can make adjustments here, okay, because I got that W kind of close to this O here. Okay, so now we'll take a look and see how close I got. There, wow, that's pretty good. Okay, now the next step, we're going to add some action lines. And I made these little templates. These are just some old pieces of mounting boards that I got from a frame shop, and I just kind of did these star shapes. And of course this isn't enough for the whole thing, but you can go in there and trace them out. I also have some kind of cloudy looking ones that you could put in there. I like to get them on there, and you know, it's just kind of getting those shapes in the background there. Let's see, how's that go? Well, I think I forgot part of the W. We'll have to fix that. Okay, we'll fix that W there. Okay, so this, there we go. Okay, and then this little arrow, this little beam kind of goes out here like that. And maybe put some down inside here like this. Give it a little more zap. And so on and so forth. And then we'll go over those lines with the Sharpie marker also. And these lines too. Making this very exciting well, this isn't a self-portrait, but portrait here. Okay, so there we go. Then, painting this, a lot of times I will go in and I use the primary colors, okay? Roy Lichtenstein also liked to use primary colors, and I use some white. I use colored construction paper, so it's one of the colors, all right? And so I'm using red, yellow, and blue, and black and white. The Ben-Day dots, the dots that make up usually the skin tone, I'm going to have them do the skin and then one other object in the picture. So they could do their skin and their hair, or they could do their skin and their shirt, or they could do their skin and the word or something in the background. But two of them are going to have to be Ben-Day dots, and the rest of them are going to be painted solid. That's a lot of the way that Roy Lichtenstein did his paintings. Plus, it gives them a chance to try the Ben-Day dots in different ways. This is done with marker up here in the hair, whereas this is paint down here. They're really excited about using paint. I think it might be easier to have used markers, but the kids get so excited about using paint, I figure, yeah, we'll go with that. And so that is my Roy Lichtenstein self-portrait project for the kids this year.